All right, everybody, I'm Johnny Scoville, and this is Chase the Heat. Thank you guys for being here. This is the first of what will be a regular segment, a weekly segment called Sober Sunday. We're going to talk. We're going to discuss the relationship with capsaicin and sobriety, because there is one. Let me say hi to everybody who's here. I want to say hi to my wrenches. Silver Surfer, my man Tracy. Thank you for being here. Hi, Michelle, if you're here. Krista Melinda, Brock Bandy, and the one and only Bizzle. We have Barbara Aldrich, Brent's Accents, Clayton Collins, good to see you. Jane Aldrich, good to see you. Thank you guys for being here. And Keith Kingman, Robert, and Dizzy Dragon. Sure, more people are going to come on this. I decided to do this from a whole lot of people suggesting I do this. Dean, thank you for being here. Burn Daly, thank you for being here. Tim Busink, hello. So we're going to just kind of wait a few minutes and wait till a few more people get here, and we'll get started. I think this, it's interesting that in recovery, you'll hear people talk about their why, or what is your why? Like, why are you doing this? Why do you want to be sober? You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter what your why is, but find your why. You know what I mean? I think that's such an important thing. And I think that peppers can really are substantially helpful in recovery. Green Mile, good to see you. Barella, thank you for being here. Humble and kind, thank you for being here. All right, so, the recovery, there's so many ways to get sober. There's a lot of meetings. This is almost like a virtual meeting, I used to counsel at AA meetings, Silver Surfer said. The AA meetings are interesting. You got to stand up in a room and say, hey, I'm Johnny Scoville, I'm a junkie, or whatever. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't, I'm a pretty confident guy. You stick a mic in front of me. If it's a mic or 10,000 people in an auditorium, it doesn't really matter. I'm comfortable talking like that, but a lot of people aren't. You follow me? And so a forum like this is beautiful because we don't necessarily know your face. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But I mean, to be able to sit in your home and say, hey, you know what, this is what's going on for me. The model that the lifeboat is, before I did this, I went to my brother and said, because the lifeboat, a lot of people that are here right now are also on the lifeboat. But the lifeboat is about, it's not just about recovery. There's a lot of other things that happen on that channel, but recovery is a big part of the lifeboat. And I think the reason that model works is that the minute you say, you don't have to stand up and in front of people in your town that might see you, but you can say, hey, this is what's going on for me. And you get judgment-free support. And that's an important thing. All right. So there's more people coming in always. So thank you for being here. This is definitely going to be a regular topic. Now, before I even go into talking about sobriety, does anybody that's here right now, have you felt that sobriety is made easier eating capsaicin? Hi, Carla. I've had people that will say to me a lot, because I talk about my story, and I was a tremendous addict, believe it. And they'll say you traded one substance for another, one addiction for another. It's interesting. You don't have, there certainly is, you get an endorphin rush if you eat a lot, and there's the buzz component out of it. But there are people that don't eat peppers to the point where they get an endorphin rush, and they still feel that sobriety is made easier eating capsaicin. Let me show you this, you guys. We're going to talk about a bit about my past, but this is something I want to show you. This is one of my favorite things. I talk about it all the time. I quote it all the time. Eating spicy food causes your brain to produce hormones like serotonin, which makes you better equipped to deal with depression, anxiety, anger, and stress. Now, since we're talking about sobriety, those four things right there, depression, anxiety, anger, and stress, are they or are they not triggers? I got news for you. If you got a neighbor and he doesn't even have a substance problem, those are triggers in his life. I don't care who it's the human nature, it's human experience. Those are triggers that make people get angry and everything else. So if you can do something, stack the odds in your favor of handling those things, those four elements, you're in good shape. You got something moving in your favor. It's true. Now it's interesting. I think it's easier. I've quit everything, you guys, in my life. At some point, I was addicted or abused every drug there is. Now, a lot of the modern ones, like the designer ones, I didn't do any of those. But listen, I was addicted to a lot of drugs for a long time. Now, when I quit, it's been 15 years plus since I quit hard substances. But to be very honest with you, hard substances were not my drug of choice ever. So I think to a degree, walking away, quitting those, quitting a substance, like it doesn't just because you're addicted to something, it doesn't make that your drug of choice. You could be addicted to something that's not your drug of choice. And I think quitting that kind of substance is a little bit easier than quitting your drug of choice. Like Tommy, I'm not talking at his church. Tommy talks about this pretty openly. His drug of choice was H. Okay, it was very difficult for him to get past that. It was not my favorite. I was certainly addicted to it, but walking away from that it wasn't the same thing for me as it was for Tommy, because that was his. That was his baby. That's what he liked. But here's the thing: since I started, when I started the channel, I was clean from all the hard drugs. Okay, when I started the channel, I was a drinker. I'll be really honest with you. I don't even like talking about this sort of stuff. You know what? Like this stream too, because more people will maybe be able to see this. But this is something I'm not proud of at all. But the first 3 years, before I even get into that, let me tell you something. Recently, there was a video of somebody in politics. I'm not going to say the name. We're not going to get into politics. Please don't. But this politician was on TV, and I looked at it, and I was like, person's drunk. I can tell. If you're a drinker, you can see it. I look back on the first 3 years of Chase the Heat. First 3 years? Let me see. Started in October of 2016. My sober date from alcohol is April 10th of 2019. So the first couple of years of the channel, I was drinking. You may not. Some of you can tell. Boy, I can. I hate it. I really don't. There's part of me that wants just to erase them. I can push a button and delete them all like that. A lot of these are old videos that don't get a lot of views, but I don't delete them because that's what I was. And I own it. But I will tell you this. Even before I stopped drinking, I would go to festivals. And I'm telling you, at a festival, I'd be a Bloody Mary at 8:00 in the morning. Second it's done, you go get another one. And these are what shows were like, you know what I mean? And I would see people that were, you knew who the drinkers were and who wasn't. And I'm telling you, for the first couple of years of the channel, before I decided, hey, man, I had a problem, I got to stop drinking, I would see people at shows that were sober and weren't drinking. Tons of chili heads. And then you start talking to people, getting to know people. And what you find out is that wait a minute, there's an awful lot of people sober in the chili community. Now, then you got to look and say, well, is it a greater percentage for the size of the group than a cross cut of American society? What do you think? I don't know. I think there's a lot more people in the chili community sober than you'll find if you went to the bacon community or the, whatever. Every niche has their community. I think we have a lot of sober people. I think it really helps. So when I quit drinking on April, let me tell you the day. I don't really know. I don't remember. It's April something, 10th or 14th. 10th. I don't know if you guys can see it. Yeah, you can. There you go. That is my sober date. April 10th, 2019 is my sober date. Obviously, the channel was started in 2016, so I was really eating a lot of peppers. And truth be known, there's an app on my phone. It's called I Am Sober. Right? It's an app I have. It tells you how many days you're sober and how much money you've saved. It's got milestones, and it's a cool thing. I dig it. If I'm being wickedly truthful with you guys, I downloaded the app before the one that took. And I downloaded the app and said, I'm not drinking anymore. Like 2 days later, I'm drinking again. It is what it is. And then one day, on April 10th, that morning, I woke up and I said, you know what? Hang on, Murph is here. I said, I'm not drinking anymore. And I actually called a friend of mine at the time. And I said, hang on just a minute, people. There we go. Thank you for being here, Murph. I called a friend of mine and I said, I'm not drinking anymore. Deadhead, good to see you. I said, I'm not drinking anymore. Oh, actually, I led off by saying this. I said, we know each other for a long time, right? And they said, yeah. I said, can you imagine me letting the person, like somebody tell me what to do and how to do it and try to control me? The person laughed and said, no, not really. I said, well, why do I let something like a liquid in a bottle has no mind, no conscience? Why do I let that control me? Now, it wasn't like, thank you, Murph, by the way. Newest wrench person, my mod, Murph. Charlie Murphy. Oh, I love you, Charlie Murphy. Thanks for being here. All right. So, anyway, the morning that I decided that it wasn't like on the 9th, something climactic happened. It wasn't. I decided on the 10th, I'm done. And I think the big difference was the previous time when I was done, I kind of downloaded the app on my phone and just kind of didn't tell anybody. Just that was it. I downloaded the app. Arwa, thank you for being here. And when I drank 2 days after I downloaded the app, you know what I did? Can you guys guess what I did? Jason P, thank you for being here. Humble and kind. Thank you. I deleted the app because I felt guilty when I'd open my phone and see the app there. That didn't mean anything because had a drink in my hand. So I feel guilty. So I deleted the app. Well, on the 9th, on that morning of the 10th, I uploaded the app again. And you know when you upload, have you guys have the experience where you have an app and you get rid of it? When you go back and upload it again, you can already tell you've already done it once. I just uploaded it again. And the difference was the second time, that time first thing I do is call my children and tell my kids about it. I told them, your dad's a lush. I'm sorry. Made a lot of mistakes, but I'm done. I'll prove it to you. The way you rebuild trust with people, this is important. It's words or actions matching your words consistent over time. That's how you earn trust back. Because you'll lose it. I lost a lot. You can't imagine the trust I lost over the years. But here's a couple of things we need to remember. Anybody, if there's somebody here, you don't need to stick your hand up and say, I'm here because I probably couldn't here just because you're bored. But I'm telling you this, if you have a problem, and I don't care if it doesn't matter what the substance is. In the chili community, I've met people that were free. Insert drug name. You name it, they're free from it. You name it, from smoking stuff to sniffing stuff to drinking stuff. I've met people. There are people in the chili world that are free from every vice, every shackle you can imagine. And so many of them credit peppers and chilies. Now, if you eat enough of them, you will get a buzz, and you will have people saying, "Oh, yeah, that's why he's doing it." But there are tons of people who are free from an addiction that don't get endorphin rushes. You don't understand what you got to do to get an endorphin rush eating peppers. Most people that eat peppers don't like that. You got to go so far past your comfort zone. You got to really hurt yourself. And most people aren't really, that's not their get down. In spite of that, a lot of people that never go so far as to get the buzz from eating peppers are still finding it easier to walk away from addiction. The second time I downloaded that app, I downloaded the app on April 10th. I never looked back. I've never had hey, you know what? When we lost our dad 3 years ago, and I'll tell you, not once, even when my dad died, it wasn't like I thought, boy, I'll tell you what, I'd like to go tie one on and not think about something for a couple of hours. Something happens. I don't know if it happens to everybody. When I got sober, for 2 decades, 3 decades, I didn't feel anything. By choice, I didn't feel a thing. And I wanted to feel everything. When I got sober, I wanted to feel everything. And that's really, I don't know. Here's one thing I tell everybody that comes to me, because since I got sober, since I came out and told everybody about being sober, I've had 1 million people that have messaged me and emailed me. And I always tell them the same thing. You have to remember this. Somebody told me this when I was getting sober. You're 10 times stronger than you think you are. I think one of the most important things about, you have to go into sobriety with the right attitude. So if you go to listen, there are AA meetings happening right this minute. Forced AA, where somebody's going court mandated. You think they're stoked to be there? You know what I mean? It's something you gotta want. If you're in the place where you want it, you know what I mean? The great thing is there's so much support here. My brother's channel, the lifeboat. But you're 10 times stronger than you think you are. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It sounds crazy, but I went after my sobriety the way I go after eating peppers. I really do. I have a friend who has been a friend of mine for a long time. They have a friend who's sober. And it's a woman, and she told us she goes to the meetings. She's sober for the coins. Now, listen, and what she meant is she's so stoked about those coins. It means so much to her. That's why she wouldn't drink, because that coin meant so much to her. When I downloaded that app to my phone, the first 2 or 3 days, every hour is a coin. I kid you not. You're so stoked. You're like, oh my God, look at a half a day. I tell you, and it's really, really cool. When you first start with that app, every day is a milestone. Then after a week, it starts stretching out. Well, I've been sober for 5.5 years on this app. Let me tell you something funny how the app works. My next milestone is let's see. Right now, I'm 2,069 days sober. My next milestone isn't until 2,100 days. And there are milestones. And it said, like in the app, it says you and 644 others have shared this milestone. But it's a really cool thing. There's so much to it. It isn't just putting down your substance. And that's the truth of it. It's preparing yourself for what's going to happen when you put down the substance. Because if it takes, like it took with me, there's such thing as a good relapse. And I didn't even know what a relapse was until I got on the lifeboat. I thought, and I bet there are people maybe there's not. I foolishly thought that relapse was somebody crumbling under the craving and using their substance of choice that they had previously quit. That's what I thought a relapse was. That's not relapse. Relapse is the minute, it's almost like this. We're moving forward. The minute our forward progression starts to slow down and we start to slow back a little bit, we're in relapse, whether we're drinking yet or not. Like making your bed in the morning. You know what I mean? I'm not making my bed. I got a problem. You know what I mean? So Tommy said something really great. If you're in the process of trying to get sober, here's what you do. Do stuff you weren't doing. If you never made your bed, start making your bed in the morning. Seriously, start journaling. If you don't journal, boy, that's a mistake. Start journaling. If there were things that you were doing, don't do them. Like, I'm really good at picking up a habit. Man, you should ask Tommy how fast some habits I picked up. I picked up snowboarding in 48 hours. I was a straight snowboarding addict in 48 hours. Now, but dropping a habit's a little bit different, right? Well, so instead of being focused on trying to get rid of a habit, fill your day with really positive, good habits, and it won't leave you with a lot of time. Now, the thing about going into another really important aspect, if somebody's saying, okay, this is it, I'm going to stop drinking, you got to know that your brain is not your friend. Your brain's, listen, your brain's not your friend at all. But the good news is you're not your brain. You know what I mean? That was really important for me to know. I'm not my brain. And thank God for that. But your brain, the worst thing you can do if you're trying to quit something, the worst thing you can do, and everybody's going to go, yeah, I know. Because look, there's 67 people in the chat right now. There's somebody that's tried to quit something that isn't quite working yet, and you're still trying. The worst thing you can do if you're trying to quit something is sit in a room staring at 4 walls. 3, really, because you can't stare at the wall behind you, but you're looking at 3 walls. That's a really bad thing to do, because your brain is going to start. Brain wants the path of least resistance. And if you've got something to the point where it's an addiction, what do you think your brain wants? I know, like psychologically, intellectually, out loud, we're saying we want to stop doing something, but your brain piece is not on board yet. Didn't get the memo. Even if it got the memo, it deleted it, threw it out, it burned it. It's not paying attention. So what you can do is, but here's the great news. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care. Listen, I don't care if you could be Mensa. It doesn't make any difference. You can trick your brain that easily. And here's how to do that. This is super important. Honestly, this is good stuff. I didn't come up with any of this. Honestly, I just regurgitate stuff I've heard that works. But when your brain can only do one thing at a time. True. Funny, Bizzle. Your brain, Bizzle. Lies. Your brain can only do one thing at a time. I'm like Johnny ADHD. All right. I used to say, I'm doing 10 things at once. You only do one thing at a time. So if you're sitting around and you're thinking about, you're frustrated, you're starting to get uncomfortable and you get the ants, automatic negative thoughts, trick your brain. Your brain, I don't care what your IQ is. It's like tricking a 3-year-old as long as you understand how to play the game. It doesn't matter how smart you are. Elon Musk's brain can be tricked like a 3-year-old. And here's what you do. If your brain is focused on the substance and you're craving something and you're going through it, get up, get out of the room you're in, and you got to think about your senses. Go outside. If you're inside, go outside. Look at something else. You're going to see different things. When you can't see stuff and not, your brain is processing what you're seeing. So you're engaging sight. You're going to hear stuff that you didn't hear. If you're outside, even if it's just traffic, who cares what it is? You're going to hear things you weren't hearing inside. Get a pepper, get a habanero, get a jalapeno, get something and bite it. You're going to taste it and you're going to feel it. You'll have a little bit of pain sensation going on. All right. You got all this stuff going on. And what is your brain no longer doing? Promise to God, your brain's no longer thinking about what you were thinking about when you were in the room staring at 3 walls. So remember that you can trick your brain. Cravings don't last all day. The average craving, I can't remember what it is, 4 minutes, or it's not even that long. So what you need to do is occupy yourself. And remember that your brain, no matter what your IQ is, how smart you are, you can fool it like you're tricking a toddler. You just got to know. You know what I mean? Bizzle says, when you get sad, just watch something funny. Your brain doesn't know if you're happy or sad. Well, it's just easy to trick. And think about it. What happens is this. If you're in a room and you're sitting around, you're thinking about things, you sit around, you stay there, you're giving your brain all the rope, you're giving it free rein in your dome piece. You know how bad that is? Holy mackerel. Do that to me. In 15 minutes, I'm on the way to the bank, on my way to Mexico or something. It's bad. You know what I mean? But your brain, like your brain doesn't have arms and legs. It's stuck in your dome. You control everything it sees, thinks. I mean, just think about your senses. It's impossible to occupy all your senses doing something different after you have the craving and still have that craving there. It's just impossible. You just got to know that, though. But peppers really, really do help. Remember always that the peppers, they increase the serotonin in your brain. That's huge. Now, who in the chat? Somebody had a question a moment ago. And it said like that I was talking. Give me just a second. I'll find it. Look at that. Humble and kind. I smoked for 14 years and just decided one day I was done. Quit cold turkey. Had my last cigarette on January 5th, 2003. Now the smell of them make me want to hurl. Mary Murphy is my wife. Absolutely. Mary Murphy. That's Charlie Murphy. I'm sorry, there was a question. Now I can't find it. I know I saw it. If you have a question, throw a couple cues like in the beginning, and it'll stand out like a sore thumb for me. Yeah, Clark says when you remove something bad, replace with something positive, or it'll fill. Yeah, somewhere. Listen. Can I tell you something? That's me personally. Humble and kind says when I make my mind to do something, I do it. Done and said. This Scotch Irish in me. I love it. I think, and I mean this now. 3 years old is how old Squirrel is. I think personally that journaling might be the most important part of my sobriety. Because in journaling, but listen to me, if you're only writing stuff down every day, it's good because you're getting stuff out. It's wonderful, but you're only getting half of the benefit. If you're not going back and rereading it, you're missing the point of journaling, in my mind anyway. And the other thing about that is incredible. And it first happened, I was journaling, and one would think that just by taking a pen to a piece of paper and writing out the thoughts, just by writing them out, you're getting the benefit of journaling. But I promise you, it's not. You think it will be, but it's not. Once you go back and you read it, and you'll see patterns, you're like, oh my God, like how many times do I have to write that before I make a change? You'll see patterns, and I figured out through journaling. And then the other great thing is, you go back, and the more time goes by, go back and reread it again. You'll get different things a second time. I kid you not. But I figured out why it is I drank in the first place, and that's crazy. Mary Murphy, when will you be coming back to the East Coast? You know what? It's a good question. I want to see you and Charlie again. I was just thinking about that today. I have to go. I have work to do in Pennsylvania and in Fort Mill, so it won't be till after the new year. But after the new year, Mary, I think I'll be there. So I miss it. I've kept a journal since high school. It's very, very cool. Writing every day is good. Here's the thing. Everybody I know that's really successful at what they do, and I mean it, they all journal. It's true. Either they're all the successful people lie to me and tell me they journal. I believe them. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I believe them. For anyone struggling with substance abuse, you're not alone, and it's never too late. Please take care. Thank you, Dizzy. It's important to know that. What's also really important is, do you guys understand that there was a day where if somebody was addicted to something, that was it. They'd say, listen, man, if he's drinking, don't let him, play with something sharp. Keep the guns away. Don't let him drive a car. And there was a day, seriously, do you guys know that? There was a day where if you were addicted to something, that was it. You were done. He's addicted. That's it. And there wasn't even I'm not even joking. You were written off. That's how 12 AA started. A couple of guys got together and said, I can't stop myself. I'll make a deal with you. If you stop me from drinking tomorrow, I'll stop you from drinking. Can we do it? That's how it all started. But it's almost like the Roger Bannister. Remember, what was it, the 4-minute mile or something? It was nobody could beat it. Nobody could break that barrier. And then he did. I don't know what year it was. And he did. And nobody could forever. And after he did 100, it's been broken 175 times since then. But nobody can do it forever. Once people know that it can be done, we can do it. You know what I mean? Think about Eddie Van Halen playing Eruption. That dude, Eruption. Remember the first time you heard the song Eruption by Eddie Van Halen? You're like, you got to be kidding me. You guys doing that on guitar? How's that even possible? Right? I promise you, there's a 7-year-old kid on every continent that plays that. You close your eyes, you wouldn't know it wasn't Eddie Van Halen. 7-year-old. Because they know it can be done, they can do it. Sobriety, you guys, is the same way. If you knew the stuff that I've done and how bad I was, you would all be saying, Scoble can do it, I can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. You just got to kind of want to, you know what I mean? You really do. You got to want to. But I don't know anybody. Listen, the other day I was in a chat. I was in a stream of Tommy's. Somebody jumped in the stream and they said, I'm getting ready to give up. They were drinking and they said, I can't quit. I don't even care anymore. I said in the chat, email me. I'll help you. He was trying to get Tommy's attention. And Tommy was talking about something else. And when you have 500 people in the chat, things are flying by. As the guy doing the content creating, you can't address every question. And so Tommy didn't see them. And so he was in this chat saying, I'm just going to give up. And I said, well, I'll help you. Email me one-on-one. He never helped me. He's not ready to quit. He was just trying to distract the chat. Tommy told me something years and years ago. It was amazing. He said, and this is before either one of us was sober. He said, when somebody decides to get sober? When they've done enough. And I'd done enough. That's what it comes down to. I remember that, Chris and Melinda. Yep. I emailed him twice now, and he has emailed me back. He just want that to me. I don't want to get into it. But thank you, Kristen. And our remembers that. Thank you guys so much. Who's the eldest? I am Deadhead. I'm 4 years his senior. In fact, he was brought home and given to me as my 4th birthday present. I was not happy about it. Pretty salty, actually. Jason says he was trying to hijack the chat. You offered help, and he did not want it. Yeah, I want to give them it's almost like victim. If somebody says they're a victim, you don't want to say, yeah, they could be lying though. You want to believe every victim. Anybody who says they're in a jam, you want to believe them. So I wanted to believe, hey, he's in a jam. I'll email. I wrote him 2 good emails, but then part of me thinks that's just a troll. You know what I mean? But listen, You got to know everybody knows what ants are. Does everybody know what ants are? Ants are automatic negative thoughts. Now, when you get sober, ants don't bug you. Well, you know how the ants bug you when you're in an active addiction? Let's go get some more. And usually you're like, okay, what do I got to do? But when you decide to quit, your brain's going, let's get some more. You know what I mean? And you're not in that spot anymore. You know what I mean? That's when you got to, so it's mind over matter. You know what I mean? But that's something I was going to say. He's just not in that spot. I don't want to believe he doesn't have a problem. I want to believe he can help him, but I don't know if he's being serious or not. I don't know. Thank you, Tracy. Lennon says, you either get busy living or you get busy dying. Well, life is a participant sport. It's not a spectator sport. It's almost like, look, we're not here to watch. We're supposed to be in there. Like, I promise you, when I go to my grave, if they do an x-ray, they'll say, holy crap, he broke his leg here a couple of times. All his fingers have been broken. It's scarred all over the place. It's a participant sport, be active. But I think a lot of people are just scared to make the decision to stop because just the fear of quitting. It's one thing, since we're talking about addiction, I've quit substances where you don't use it, like quitting dope. When you don't use it, the withdrawals of like dope sick, you can't begin to know how horrible it is. So a lot of times I promise you, people stay in an active opiate addiction because they're straight terrified of opiate withdrawal. It's the worst experience in the world. And that is honestly a big, big part of what, Suboxone is an amazing thing. If you say to somebody that's on dope, you can get off without any pain at all. And you can have your life back. Most people don't realize that's even a thing. A lot of them are just too deep into it to even have an option. But man, addiction is the worst thing. And I think inside every addicted person is a spectacular human being waiting to come out. I mean it. It's a funny thing. There's a terrible thing. Alcohol in particular, I think. I really hate alcohol. I do. It's a terrible thing. Oh my gosh. My husband's in the hospital, terminal triple cancer. Got 1 year out of prison and hit with the diagnosis. I'm so sorry. I'm praying for you guys tonight, Deadhead. Holy moly. Wow. I'm sorry, Southern California Gardening. My son died from an overdose. Well, I'll tell you what, let me tell you guys something. It's a miracle. There's some people that love you. It's a miracle that, boy, you know what? One for Southern California Gardening, for real. It's a miracle that I thank God Tommy and I were born when we were. And I mean that. Thank God, because if we were kids now, like we were just, if you guys get the book I write about this, but when I got out and went to college, I literally had the mindset, like conscious decision that I'm going to try everything that I could get my hands on. I think the one thing that in my mind, I didn't want to try was angel dust. But other than that, I just decided I was going to go out and try everything. Do you realize how quick I'd be dead if I was alive today with that kind of an attitude? It scares me so much, though, because it just does. It's a frightening thing. Karma Chameleon, thank you for being here. Anyway, getting back to the peppers and sobriety. You don't need to eat peppers until you're shaking, until you're getting an endorphin rush to get the benefit, all right, of eating peppers with respect to an addiction. You just eat peppers. It's gonna increase your serotonin levels. I'm telling you guys. I'll put it up there one more time. I'm going to answer that question in just a minute, humble and kind. But we put this up one more time. Let's all think about this. Let's assume, and I know not everybody in the chat needs to quit something, but let's assume the 70 people or so that are in here all right now need to quit something. You all have something that you're trying to put in the rearview mirror. If you could somehow have less depression, less anxiety, anger, and stress in your life, or just put you in a spot where you just handled depression, anxiety, anger, and stress better, how much easier would going into the sobriety be if you knew that was going to be a side effect of what you're doing? Eat peppers, people. My God, think about that. Because I'll tell you something, when you're trying to quit something, anger, stress, depression, anxiety is why you say the hell with it. True story. Man, I'm telling you something. I'm so glad I'm sober, but knowing now what I didn't know then, if I was sitting here watching some bald dude saying eating peppers can help you get sober, I'm going to buy peppers tomorrow. And you don't need to hurt yourself like I hurt myself. Unless that should get down like it's mine. But hi, Christian East. Thanks for being here. Life is heavy. Being a person in the world is heavy. It's always beautiful. It's not an easy thing. I say this a lot. I have this post. I used to post on Facebook every couple months. It's beautiful, isn't it? How it hurts, but we never give up. Listen, it's part of the human experience. If I remember going to my father one day and I had a problem and he looked at me and laughed. He said, "That's your problem?" And he said to me, "One day I'm going to be in a box and you're going to be trying to keep your mother from falling apart. This isn't a problem today. We'll get over it." I remember one day my son came to me and said he had a problem. I laughed. I said, "Dude, I'm going to be in a box someday. And and I just said, look, seriously, life is, and I'm not trying to be morbid or anything, but life isn't easy. There's nothing easy about it. It's not for the faint of heart. Watching my dad get old, and somebody asked if was it hereditary from my mom and dad? I can't remember who that was. My dad never had an addiction, never had a problem with addiction. Controlled. He drank some occasionally. It was not his thing. Neither was my mother. I was just, I don't know. I was born with my wires crossed with the safety off. It's kind of how it is. But fortunately, I've gotten my act together. I mean, it's a miracle I'm still alive, and it's a miracle I'm not in jail serving, a tremendous life, stretch of time for the things that I did. But I'm telling you, I'm just here to tell you, you got to check this out. Since I quit drinking, 2,069 days since I quit drinking. It's pretty amazing. Man, I'm pretty proud of that. You know how much money I've saved, you guys? Any idea? They say I've saved $16,500 drinking. That's crazy. Southern California Gardening, you are here to share this wisdom with the world. You know what? Thank you for saying that. I'm here for something. The fact that I'm not dead, I'm here for something. Kristen says, I assume Johnny will want to be cremated, not being in a box, not being morbid. Just thought, burning. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I slept in a coffin. You probably know this, right? But I slept in a coffin for 2 years. So I don't really I'm not too psyched to be in a coffin again. I even have a picture of that here. Let me see. Yep, I do. You guys want to see a picture of me in my coffin? I'm actually in my coffin, but this is a coffin when I was in college. I'm sitting on top of it. That was my bed for 2 years in college. That's me in the middle, if you can believe that. But I slept in that thing for 2 years every night. D. Marie says, why would you do that? Actually, and then D said, why? You know why? Because I was a dumb kid and a neighbor in my... Thank you, Jason, so much, bro. Proud of you, brother. Yeah, boy, you got that. Thank you, Jason, so much. Here's why. Yeah, I was in a fraternity. I don't know. So, oops, why is that not supposed to be gone? Give me just a second. Let me get rid of that picture. Sorry. Here's why. I had a friend who bought it from a shop that was going out of business, a funeral home. It was a display. It was on the floor. It was for a plus size man, and he bought it for a joke on Halloween. And when he was done with it, Nick, good to see you, bro. When he was done with it, he left it on his porch, and the neighbors were freaking out. The kids were scared of it. Said there was, the vampire, dead person, everything. So he said, if I had a truck at the time. He says, if you can come get it, you can have it. I was like, really? My truck was backed up to his porch like that. I slid it in the back and drove it home. My mom says, she went, what is that? I said, it's a coffin. She goes, I know it's a coffin. Why do you have a coffin? Wait till your dad sees this. That's what she said. My dad came home and goes, a coffin? Where'd you get that? I'm like, you better act pissed off. Mom's mad. He's like, what do you have a coffin for? It was cool. I bought it because I got it because he gave it to me for nothing. It was probably a $5,000 coffin. My goal initially was to use it as a dresser at college. And when I got to college, I was moving into my fraternity house, and there was no bed in my room. So I came up with a great idea. I'm like, I'll get a little pool, like a blow up thing. It was a big coffin. I mean, it was wide. I could almost get in the fetal position. It was wide. So I got a blow up mattress, put it in there, slept in it. That was a long time ago. Life is definitely not a journey, but a destination. It's so hard to get that through your head when you're young, though. I spent half of my youth wishing away things. I can't wait for this. I can't wait for that. I can't wait till April. I can't wait for Christmas. Then one day you're like 50, you're like, and you can't believe you couldn't wait. You couldn't wait. It just, you're one day at a time. Maybe you see the license plate for people getting sober one day at a time. Do you understand how lucky we are that we could only live one day at a time? Imagine if we had a toggle switch, like something really exciting was coming up, we could burn through 2 days at a time or 10 days at a time with the switch on your arm. We'd be 100 years old in 6 months. We'd all burn through time. Thank God we only do a day at a time. But we need to live more like dogs. All of us need to. You know what I mean? A dog doesn't know what tomorrow is and doesn't remember the events of yesterday, really. I mean, some small things, patterns, or repetitious stuff, but they're in the moment. They can be sleeping. You go, want to go? And they're like immediately up and going. They live in the moment. When you come home, they freak out because they didn't know if you ever were again. When you feed them, they go nuts because they didn't know if the last meal was the last meal. But we need to live more like dogs. But I'm telling you, this is really important. If there's anybody in here, if you have any more sobriety questions, ask them. But I'm telling you something. You can do it. You really can do it. You just got to, going into it with the right attitude is really important. You know what I mean? I was stoked about it. Every day I was looking at it. I was seeing how much money I was saving, and it was a really, really important thing for me. But I promise you this is really important. I would never in a million years achieve. I could never achieve my personal best with a buzz on. I think about how much time I wasted. Humble and kind, thank you so much. If you won't let me buy you a coffee when you're in my city, the big QC, this here. Here's one on me. I'd love to buy you one in person, though. I would love that, too. Humble and kind. The big QC. Quebec City, where's QC? I'm down. Unless it's Canada, then I can't go. They don't let me in there. Canada's hardcore. I hope that's not. It's probably British Columbia. Or no, is that Quebec City? What is QC? Humble and kind. But before we hang up, I want to talk. Oh, Charlotte. Too funny. Charlotte. QC. I'll be in Charlotte in a couple of weeks. Listen, just for a second, let's talk just for a minute about ants because they're really, really important. Like I said, when you're drinking, the ants are just going to tell you to go get more to drink, and you're going to go along with it because that's what you're doing. But when you decide to quit, the ants are not on board, so they're going to want you to drink. They're going to tell, and when you get sober and you get to the point where you're at one point, your brain's going to go like, okay, great. He's not drinking. He's serious this time. It's been 2 weeks. He's not going to drink. We're done. Then they're going to start doing this. You know how much time you've wasted? And you're going to start thinking about it. You'll hear these thoughts. Think of how much time. Think of how many relationships you ruined because of drinking. How much money do you spend? You could have been, there's not a supercar on the planet you couldn't be driving. You could have a fleet of them with what you spend on drugs. And you'll have ants that are going to attack you. And you know what? They know your buttons. I don't. But boy, they do. And the minute they do, what you need to do is stop looking at the three walls. When they say four walls, you don't do this when you're in a room, do you? You're looking at three walls. So stop looking at the three walls you're looking at. Get out and occupy your senses, all of them, as many as you can, as quickly as you can. And what happens is you're going to, it's just like, a dog's upset and you go to a stick and the dog's not looking, he's just looking at the stick. That's what you're doing to your brain. It really is. You're playing fetch with your brain. You're going, come on. You're playing fetch with your dome. That's what you're doing. But I promise you, I don't care how smart you are, your brain, you can trick it really, really easily. I find capsaicin redirects my mind when I want to drink, and the urge goes away. Boy, it's helpful for sure. I hate those ants. Boy, you and me too. I'm telling you, DeMarie, they're brutal. And they don't ever give up. Crazy Uncle Jim, thank you for being there. Hello from San Manuel, Arizona. Fort Mill is right. Humble and kind. Oh, message. I live not even 20 minutes outside of Fort Mill. I heard you say. You betcha. You betcha. The ants are brutal. But can I tell you something amazing that happens? And this is just to encourage everybody who's trying to get sober. It's interesting when you've done it for a long time, you almost have to learn to have fun. Listen, doing things sober. There's so many things that I did sober that I hadn't done sober since I was a teenager. I was like, it's totally a different experience, but you learn it. You can do it. It's just learning to do things over again, but your brain will reward you for that. And it'll get to a point. And this is the part that I want to encourage you. It'll get to a point where you have positive automatic thoughts. There's automatic negative thoughts, and there are automatic positive ones, and I get them sometimes. It doesn't happen all the time, but I swear to you, I get them sometimes. Humble and Kind says, question, is it you and Tommy coming to Charlotte at Fort Mill? We will definitely have to meet up. It'll probably just be me, Humble and Kind. I can't promise you that. It may not be. It may be both of us. Because realistically, we both have work to do in Fort Mill. So that could be a possibility. If it happens, I will let you. We'll make it sure everybody knows about it. Arch Nemesis, good to see you. Look at this, sober from Cleveland, 4 months. All right. Oh no, I'm going through doors. Sorry about that. Things are looking up though. But you know what though? I promise you, sobriety is so much better. Congratulations. Real quick, if you're newly sober, and you know what? It doesn't matter if you're newly sober or not. If you're sober, put down what you're sober, how long you've been sober. Just so we can get an idea. If you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, obviously don't do that. Only do it if you're comfortable. But I'm 2,069 days for me. Which for anybody who's, I just spelled days wrong. Isn't that lovely? Noah, good to see you, man. Let me see here. It's been 5 years, 7 months, and 28 days for me and my sobriety ride for alcohol. I didn't have a sobriety counter when I quit all the hard stuff. I just quit, 2.5 years, twin mom. Hey, congrats. Hey, Spanx is here. Spanx is here. Hi, Spanx. No problem. No, right. Glad you're here. Nathan Q Parsons. Thank you so much. Thank you. 104 days. You know how big that is? My God, Dean. Woo, Dean, I love you. I remember when you told me, man. I'm proud of you, Dean. How cool is that? Here's the thing. Do you know what alcohol is? Some will say it's a depressant. Alcohol is a tremendous liar. It is Spanx. 1 year, 9 months, 12 days. Proud of you, dude. Big time. Alcohol is a liar. 4 years of age, weed and alcohol. Tim, God, that's so awesome. Nicotine, 11 years. Awesome. Chris and Melinda, cigarettes, 13 years. Chrissy, that's incredible. Bizzle, Xanax, 2011, opiates in 2020. Look at that. What drugs are, I don't just mean alcohol, but all of them are. They're terrible liars. But alcohol to me is really evil. Like it'll convince you that the reason you had a good time was because alcohol was there. But here's the truth of it. It was never because of the buzz you were on. It was because of the friends you were with and what you were doing. But it'll convince you that you can't have fun without it. I got news for you. It's almost like when my dad died, I remember thinking, how am I going to smile? Am I ever going to laugh again? And it was devastating. It was just like, it was a 10. I'm like 1 is, you hangnail, and 10 is, man, this is a 10. That was my dad dying. I remember that it was just, I remember thinking, how am I going to ever smile again? But you know what happens? At least with me, you don't ever get over it. You learn to live with it, and you learn to laugh again, and you learn to find joy again. And that's part of the beauty of life. It sucks, but that's part of the beauty of life. The joy of the pain. It's amazing. But Jay, good to see you. Jay Caps, Hellfire Farms. Georgia. You guys are all awesome. So many people sober here. We're going to do this every this upcoming Sunday. I'll have a bunch more information each Sunday. We're going to learn more stuff. If and at some point I'd like to have, if you're interested in coming on, doing a split screen with me on a sober Sunday and talking about your sober journey and how Capsaicin potentially may have played a role, I would email me, please, at chasetheheat@gmail.com. That I have 3 years sober. My brother died. Now I have 5 months. Hang in there, bro. I'm proud to be in the presence of so many amazing fighters. No, we're never going to give up. All right. Hang on a minute. All right. Who is the most likely to email me first? You or Tommy? Since Tommy's not here to defend himself, I don't know. I can't back that up. One of us will. I don't have your email address. You'd have to email me. It's chasetheheat@gmail.com. Let's see here. You know what we're going to look into? Dad's old Honda Civic. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. I'm wondering, you've heard people talk about you can be born with a genetic predisposition for dependency. We've all heard that. I think I'm one of those guys. Like when I went to college, I felt like a drug addict that just hadn't figured out what drug he was going to choose. That's kind of what I felt like. It's a weird thing. I think that everything that I did, I had to go through. If somebody had gotten me when I was young and said all the right things, it would not have mattered at all. I was just that guy. It's sad. Wow. Galthy, I'm so sorry. A former boss and coworker unalived himself last week. I'm so sorry, man. John, look for Amy Cooper email. You won't see humble or kind. I will find you. Thank you. I appreciate it, Amy. I appreciate everybody for being here. You know, here's the thing. We're all going through something. I am. Some of you know. You are. There's nobody that has it easy. I said this in the video recently. Yeah, it's really funny. I remember being in kindergarten. I do. I remember looking at the kids coming out of first grade. It was a different building. I remember thinking, those are grown-ups. They got it figured out. Then I got to first grade and I didn't have anything figured out at all. You know what I mean? Then I remember thinking, well, when you get to grade school, like first through sixth graders, they got it figured out. And then I got to sixth grade and they didn't have it figured out. But when I was in sixth grade, I thought, high school, they're practically adults. You know, they have a mortgage practically. They're in high school. They looked like grown-ups. They were tall and they were big. And then I got to high school and I didn't have it figured out. And then I thought, well, in college, but clearly in college, that's when it finally starts clearing up on you and the lens gets, all of a sudden, everything, you can see things clearly. You got to college, everything was still fuzzy. Then I just kind of realized that everybody felt just like I did. Everybody thinks everybody else has got it going on. We're all broken. And it's the brokenness that brings us all together. That's why we love each other. We don't love each other for the like nobody here is flawless. So we're all going through something. I see you, you see me. So we'll come here next Sunday. We'll do it again. For anybody struggling with a substance, email me at chasetheheat@gmail.com. Can the somebody with a wrench please put up the lifeboat? Because I'm going to do one a week on sobriety every Sunday, but at least one a day every single week is on the lifeboat. And this is a bunch of chili heads. A lot of them are struggling, and we're all here for each other. But if you hop over to the lifeboat, you'll get a lot more regular support. And honest to God, I'm being honest with you guys, it's a very similar vibe on the lifeboat than there is here. Probably because Scovilles are kind of at the helm, and but it's a wonderful group of people on the lifeboat, and no one's ever going to look their nose at you, down their nose at you. It doesn't, you won't get that. So please, if you're struggling with something, we mentioned, if you're, nothing I didn't mention, if you're quitting alcohol or, Valium or benzos, talk to a doctor. Don't quit cold turkey. Please be careful. All right. And true story though, I mean it. Anybody who's emailed me, like, holy crap, he emails you back. If you email me, I will email you back. So if you're going through something and you need help, please email me, chasetheheat@gmail.com. I will write you back. It may take me a little bit, more than a couple hours of me, but I promise you, I will write you back. All right. Any last questions before we wrap it up? Thank you, Jason. Chase the Heat and the lifeboat are safe places. Scoville Brothers, handling your travel since 2018. Be it a boat or a bus, we got you covered. Thank you all for being here. Let me say goodbye to everybody who's here. I think I might be able to pull everybody's name up. Let me see. Sometimes it lets me, sometimes it does not. Give me just a split second. Here we go. Brock Bandy, Burn Daly, Dean, Conjured Vapors, Barbara Aldrich, Creator, Manuel Derry Tendo, thanks for being here. Deadhead, Gothy, Humble and Kind, Jane Aldrich, Jason P, J Caps, Jeremiah Leisure, Casey, Chris and Melinda, Lennon, Noah Wright, Silver Surfer, California Gardening, Southern California Gardening, Arabian Bard, Tim Busink, and Travis W. Thank you all for being here. Stay strong. Next Sunday, same time, we'll do Sober Sunday again. We still have a couple more minutes, and I don't want to wrap it up too soon. Did anyone have any last questions? Oh, you know what? Someone asked today about the watches I wear. I couldn't find one of them. This is the one that I couldn't find. So I doubt the same. If you were there, this is the one that I was unable to find. It's an Omega. But I don't wear a lot of watches. I just wear like 3 or 4 different watches. I can testify, Johnny, a stand-up cat. I try. There's another one I wear. It's a mid-50s Rolex. The one I'm wearing now. It's an Oyster Perpetual. I wear this one too, which is an old. This is a Swatch did a collaboration with Blancpain. This is a copy of their 50 Fathoms. This is a cool watch. I wear this a lot. And the only other one I wear is this one, which is a Tissot. These two are both from the year I was born. These are both from 66, which is amazing because they're so much better shape than I am. Like substantially better shape. Where do you and Tommy find your watches? You know what? Tommy is the one that finds my watches. He sure is. The one I was wearing, Melinda said which one I have on. This was one I was wearing at the beginning of this video. I took it off to show you. It's really kind of a cool watch. It's a mid-50s, I think 54 or 55 Rolex. Very pretty. But I like watches. I've always been a watch guy. And Tommy's been a watch freak for a long time. Yes, Casey. This is the one. Tommy gave me this one. This is my birth watch. And I'll tell you what, if you Google these, you are going to find one in better shape than this one. It's absolutely spectacular. And they all keep amazing time, which is really cool. But Tommy's he's the most knowledgeable guy I've ever known in my life for watches. He's a genius. Wait, Robert, 5 years, man, that's awesome. That's something to be proud of. You know, I want you to know something. I'm not, and I don't want this to sound the wrong bad. I'm not really like super proud of the channel. I'm not really like that. You know what I'm proud of? I'm proud of my children. Wicked proud of my children. I'm very, very, very proud of my sobriety. I mean it. I'm wicked proud of that. And I'm proud of you, Robert. Be proud of that. Stick your chest out. 5 years is a long time, man. 5 years is. I remember the five. I'm only 5.5 right now, so I remember the 5 year. Such a huge milestone. Isn't it cool how you get like as you get older as a human being, it's like another year. But when you get older as a sober person, you're like 5 years, 6 years. Each year is such a celebration compared to a birthday. You know what I mean? But anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. Please be kind to somebody. Any last questions? Anybody at all? Any final questions? I'll be happy to answer them. Any last ones? Perhaps not. Oh, I like my girly pink watch. Those are nice watches. Thank you, Dave. All right, you guys are awesome. Please have a good night. Tell someone you love them. All right, you guys are awesome. Be kind. I love you all. I'm Johnny Scoville. This was Sober Sunday.